Right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday, December 6th, 2023 Abington Finance Committee meeting. We are meeting tonight. Our agenda is relatively simple. We're doing budget discussions. We're getting into the start of the budget season for FY25, which is crazy to think about. But tonight we have the fire department and inspectional services who are going to be here going over their budgets with us. And then we'll go through liaison reports, correspondence, and we'll talk about when our next meeting will be, and review minutes. And so now we'll just get right to it. We have our fire chief, Jack Glenn, with us.
Hi, folks. I also have the administrative assistant, Alexis Chavaroli from the fire department. I think it's important for her to get involved. Our deputy chief is going to be here as well. He's also a member of the state hazmat team. He's responding to a hazardous material incident in Pembroke. We have a member that's in East Bridgewater protecting a rescue right now, and we're mutual aid in Rockland right now. So we're very busy. We're a well-trained department, but we're very busy.
Alexis, welcome. Glad to have you.
How would you like me to start? With the mission statement
So-
or something?
This is your first year coming
Yeah.
in front of us. We know you've been prepared well by former chief.
Got a great presence.
Not all, but so basically a little bit up to you. But we usually look for kind of a summary of where we're at, where we're looking for the next year, and then kind of going through
Sure.
the line items.
Absolutely. So currently, we have the same manning we had previously. We have four six-man personnel shifts, equally divided. We have our fire prevention officer, we have our deputy chief and myself, and our administrative assistant, Alexis. The end of January, unfortunately, we're going to lose our senior guy to retirement. A lot of times when people get to that age, you see it and you say, boy, it's time for him to go. We wish we could extend another 5 years. He's going to be super. In doing that, we're going to have to replace him. So that's something we're going to work towards. Currently, right now, we have, when the chief retired, we had people move up and we filled an opening with a local guy in town here.
Nice.
We've had to manage to get him on shift prior to the fire academy, which is extremely scary, but it's something we have to do to help the budget. And our people are well-trained and they work hard to make sure that we keep everybody safe. He has a January 8th date of getting into the Brockton Fire Academy.
Okay.
I just got confirmation yesterday, actually, so we've got some people working with him in-house as far as, what training, we got him working out, doing all kinds of things. So when he goes to the academy, we'll be filling that position, just temporarily with,
Yep.
with the guys. And that's kind of where we're at. As far as, I guess I could start off with our revenues this year. I think it's kind of important for you folks to understand. Actually, before I even do that, FY24, the capital expenditure budget, you folks gave us $485,000 for the new ambulance. The new ambulance, the update as of yesterday, we were hoping it was going to be late January. Now they're thinking March because, as usual, supply chain, all that stuff. We're in line, and we're in line right near the beginning of the line with the rest of the country. Due to an incredible EMS coordinator we have in-house that really knows a lot of people and,
Yep.
and worked his magic. So we're hoping early spring of 2024, we're going to have that new ambulance in place. So thank you for that. As far as our revenues go, pardon me for my glasses and my age. I'm pretty good with it. So that our fee schedule.
I don't think you're remotely alone.
Yeah, I know.
This is printed big enough that I can read it, but
Yeah, I have. Well, the 17-18 font that I have probably will work now.
Yeah.
So for our revenues for the income that we bring in, one of the things is our permits, the fee schedule. We reviewed that this year, and we're comparable to all the area communities. Most of the things we have are maxed out at the state level, like what they call 26F inspections or smoke detector permits, anything along those lines. We're pretty consistent with everyone across the board. There really isn't much, if anything, we could try to make an adjustment on to help. Last year, we brought in $37,656 through permits and fees. Same year, our ambulance revenues, we brought in $1,259,370. This is an interesting one that I put down on here. I call it additional ambulance reimbursement. So through the Medicare program, if you go through, there's a survey you do. And a lot of the towns don't do that for whatever reason, I don't know. But we've got a fantastic administrative assistant, and what she started doing a couple of years ago, we found out about this, is you go through the survey process of all the statistics along the lines, and you file this survey. You get a refund, an additional refund back from Medicare that some people won't get if they don't do it. So this past year, we got an additional $156,719 back. That's due to the hard work of Alexis. So that's important to point out. This year was a little interesting, and I say that with a grin because the federal government has, CMS, basically what they do is it's a government company, and they randomly audit just random ground ambulance transport systems around the country. We happen to be the lucky, participants this year. They pick randomly, but what they're starting with the program, what we found out is if you don't participate, they will deduct 10% from your ambulance revenues. So about 6 or 7 weeks ago, we started the process that concluded about a week ago. This was anything from, on page 12 of 35, give us the average time frame a paramedic works as a firefighter in one particular station without running a medical call, but yet it was stuff like that. So it was tedious, it was horrendous. We got it completed. She did 95% of it, and myself and the deputy helped out. Based on the revenues we're looking at, I'm estimating that would have cost us about $120,000 in revenues that we're not going to lose now. Hopefully that's going to set us up for the future too, that we're not the people that are asked to do that in the future. So that's where we're at on that. Do we want to get into the capital stuff before?
Question on that before we move on. You mentioned Medicare. How have the Medicare reimbursements been? I was just earlier today reading an article about Sinai Hospital up in Stoughton. It's going to be closing, and they listed Medicare lack of reimbursements as
we've been consistent. We've really been consistent the last few years.
That's good.
I can talk to you a little bit more when we get to the salary portion. One of the things that's affecting us this year, and I'm sure it's no surprise to any of you, is Parkland Hospital. Yeah. That's affecting a variety of things with it, but we've been really good with it, and unfortunately it's because we've been busy. I was just telling Scott that the last 2 or 3 weeks, the high level of acuity of serious calls that we've been running has been off the charts. Thanksgiving is usually our busiest day of the year. It really wasn't too busy, but that weekend after, the guys were averaging probably 17 responses in 24 hours, and probably 12 or 13 of those are critical. So it's been intense. But yeah, getting back to that, no, I haven't seen a drop off.
That's good. Good to hear.
Do you want to get into the actual budget? Do you want to go to capital stuff first?
Let's go through the budget first.
Matt, I had a question.
Sure.
Jack, I was just wondering about the reimbursement, not the Medicare, but from the insurance companies. I know we had the conversation a couple of years ago where what you bill and what the insurance companies reimburse you. Some insurance companies are better and some are notoriously lower. Has that changed at all? Do you see better, closer to what you're billing, or you still have the same issue?
We haven't seen a drastic change, Barb. So we hire a company called Pro EMS, and they do all the billing for us. They deal with the insurance companies directly, and when we pay out of our budget, it's based on a percentage of whatever they collected. And I can tell you that based on what we've had to go with the budget this year as opposed to last year and the year before, we're collecting just as much, if not more. I don't know directly on individual insurance companies. I wouldn't have that answer for you. I can definitely try to find it out through Pro EMS, but We haven't seen a drop off in a lot of it as far as, and I know what you're talking about, as far as what's billed as opposed to what's collected. I couldn't give you an honest answer though, but I could definitely find that out for you if you'd like, through Pro EMS.
Great.
How much?
Yes, I was just curious to see if it's, I remember one, I don't want to name names, but I remember in particular, there was one insurance company that their reimbursement rate was much lower than the other insurance companies, for what would be billed out and what they would reimburse.
I could definitely find out for you. I'll definitely find out that information for you.
Thank you.
Sure.
How much does this Pro EMS charge us?
Pro EMS, it does a percentage of what the collections are, Greg. I don't know the exact percentage with it. So basically what we did is each year we have to estimate pretty much. We don't have an exact figure. It's a working figure on what we anticipate. So like last year, I will put my glasses on for Andrew's sheet. Yeah.
Oh, here it is.
Does it have it on there?
40, 50 grand.
Yeah, so it's in the area, I think last year we ended up expending about 50, I think it was 55. And this year, based on with increases and what we're anticipating, let me see, I believe
I think the request is
58, right around 58, I believe. I'd have to see right in front of me.
Is that a full-time job if you were to hire somebody and have somebody working in-house doing the exact same thing?
No, they wouldn't be able to do the same thing. These guys, they operate, and they actually give us it's kind of like a rebate through software, reporting software we do.
Sure.
For like some of the dispatch, like our fire reports and our EMS reports. We use ESO, and we're doing first due response. They actually give us a percentage back by using that because they work with them, they build statistics. And like when we did the Medicare reimbursement stuff, we were able to pull some stats off of them as well. So to answer your question on a full-time position, no, you had a full-time position doing that. My estimate, you have to pay a lot more than what we're doing. I think we're getting a real good bang for the buck with it.
And do you keep track of that? So it's, just say in 2023, it costs us, I don't know,
So 20.
50 grand.
Which line you looking at?
FY '23, the
57,000.
actual was 57.
So it cost us 57,000, but they gave us 10 grand back or something like that. Does anybody keep track of that? What
Oh,
line?
right there. No, I'm right there. Go ahead, repeat your question. I'm
So
sorry.
it cost us $57,000.
Yep.
Out of that, was it 67 and then now it's 57, or it's 57 and we just don't know how much they saved us? Or it's in another bucket somewhere else?
Not sure I'm understanding. I apologize.
I'm pretty bad with words.
No, actually, it might be me. Might be me. Might not be just the glasses. If you can repeat it again.
All right, so we paid $57,000 out.
Yep. That's
those
a
guys-
percentage of whatever they collect.
Yep, and those guys save us money. They give
Correct.
us a rebate back.
Correct.
Where does that money go, and is it shown anywhere here?
Well, it won't be shown. Yeah, it's a good point.
I would, so
No, that's
is
a great point.
does it cost us 57 or did it cost us 67, but because there was a $10,000 rebate, it actually is 57? That's more of my question.
It might actually be an Andrew question.
Or Andrew?
I don't know if he would have that. I don't think he would, because we can actually go back and find that. So what happens is we get with the 57, but the reason why I know this from the rebate stuff is when we were trying to budget out as far as, our new bill, we're condensing a few things and then talking with the Pro EMS, they gave us a breakdown. Maybe I should have included that, was on a different line item for you, but they actually gave us a breakdown on what's included with that cost.
Sure.
And they included it, we'll just say
I
up to,
don't remember what the
the
number was.
total was?
But we could definitely look at that because we can see how much it would have cost us for the ESO software.
Yeah.
And what it actually is costing us.
Sure.
We can
Wouldn't this
take a
be
look.
better presented as an offset to the revenue? Because isn't that all this is?
We still need to pay the invoices.
We have to pay, yeah.
Yeah, I get that, but as far as presenting to us, because it's a percentage of whatever they're collecting on the insurance claim. Isn't that, we're just paying them, they're hunting this stuff down, they're doing the billings and all
They're
the
doing
other
the
stuff.
work.
Like, you can't look at the revenue without looking at the expense, you can't look at the expense without looking at the revenue, because it's like certain percentage.
Do we know what percentage they collect?
I don't off the top of my head. I can find that out for you, don't worry. I don't.
Yeah, because it's sort of hard to say, well, we're gonna budget this, because if the revenue goes to $2 million,
We're budgeting them
we
for some
want,
ballpark.
yeah, if
Well-
the revenue goes $2 million, then this number's obviously gonna go up, but
Right.
we're okay with that.
I mean, if
You
I'm,
can probably figure that out by looking at what the ambulance revenue is.
I was just gonna say, it looks like it's
Exactly.
roughly four, I mean, I don't,
Yeah.
I could do it on a calculator, but 4% or something like that?
Probably in that area.
If you take whatever line item, ambulance service fees,
Yeah,
divided by the 57 grand. I don't know if I'm really on with that, but
4.5%.
there you go.
yeah, and is that how we do the budget? We just say, whatever we think the revenue's gonna be, we're gonna do 4.5%, that's the expense.
And that's what we tried to base it on last year and the year before, when I'd spoken with John last year when we were doing it. And he had said, based on the, what your income was the year before, base it on that and kind of bump it maybe 1% at the most, just to fluctuate either way. And obviously, if it's less than that, it's coming back to the general budget.
So let me ask Andrew, is that number you're presenting for the revenue, is that net of it, or is that the gross number?
That's net.
Okay, so shouldn't the revenue be higher because you're double counting the expense then? Because if that revenue's net, then that expense is in both places.
Yeah, let me look into that.
Okay.
And what would be the ambulance miscellaneous revenue?
Which line you looking at, Chris?
The last,
If you look at, not that sheet, if you look at
That's the revenue.
this one,
That's
the bottom
Medicaid.
one.
Oh, do we have this?
This is the Medicare.
Is this on the?
Medicare?
Yeah, that was.
Okay.
That's the Medicare.
that's what we got.
Got it, thanks. He just said it's the Medicare.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the.
No, but I'm just not familiar, I'm actually looking at it now broken down, so I apologize on that. Yeah, that's what it is. It's exactly what it is.
Thank you.
Can I steal
Keep-
that?
you got that. I got an extra copy over here.
Thanks.
Thanks, Scott.
All right. So that's, any other questions on that? or? All right, so those are our revenues. So now we get to this actual salary. And if you want to go line by line, it's up to you. If you don't, it's up to you.
I think
So-
highlights are okay.
Yeah, highlights are okay for,
This is fine.
Yeah.
for salaries,
Yeah.
we're keeping the same number of staff.
Yeah, so just to give you
Will
a
be-
quick briefing on it, it's the same number of staff. The salary request, if you're looking at it based on last year as opposed to this year, it's down. The reason being was last year was the first full year of that contract that you folks knew about, and there was retro involved there. So now it's balanced out on the actual salary part.
Yep.
When you get to the overtime part, that's the one where it's adjusted, it's collective bargaining stuff, and it's broken down into a variety of things. It's, the average overtime rate on things that have to be filled. And it's not something that's, it's not just a pot where it just gets thrown in there. Everything's itemized, like, or technical rescue activation, or emergency callback. And that's something I was actually gonna talk to you about. So we're seeing an increase in that, and we've seen it. We haven't got a number to track it with yet. We're gonna try to do some separate stuff since Brockton Hospital closed. We're going to South Shore Hospital, sometimes we get the second ambulance and we're there. The turnaround time's tough. And the turnaround time, sometimes you can, when we had Brockton, they could drop someone, they can be in and out in 5 or 10 minutes if things are going well. Sometimes it's almost an hour to get someone taken over care, or Good Samaritan very rarely we go to. So we've got to backfill the station at that point, and we kind of hang on to our people a little bit. And we've been busy too, so. But Brockton Hospital has definitely played a role as far as we're seeing that a little bit more. So, I have no questions.
And I
on
know
that.
I've heard a little bit from them, but have you heard from them on reopening plans?
John and myself were there with our crews working that day, and what we were told by someone really well in the know for National Grid, that they said that the footprint they have there, if someone gave them a grant for $10 million that day, they still couldn't have got it done because it was grandfathered with how the building was set up, that the services for emergency generators, anything along those lines, have to be built outside of the new building now, because that's where the fire happened. They don't have the footprint for it. We heard a variety of things after that, with people saying, oh, it's gonna be open next week, it's gonna be open next week. The latest thing I've heard in the last 2 months was that, you know, they tried to get the urgent care open. There's nothing pending.
Okay.
I'm kind of letting you guys draw your own conclusions on it. I'm not optimistic, and I met with the Plymouth County Chiefs this morning, we talked a little bit about that, and I don't think anybody's real optimistic right now, but again, I don't know for a fact. I think this is something we're gonna be struggling with for a while. So, any questions on that, so?
Chris,
All right.
were you gonna say something?
Yes.
Well, just the salaries in general, I'm just looking back at it says draft on it, the expense budget last year. I don't know but it was March 23rd, so it's pretty close to the end. And I'm seeing 3633, and over here, for salaries, I'm seeing 3963. So there's 300,000 difference between what?
So there's a separate
Did something happen at the end?
Yeah,
That was the article for
Oh,
the
okay.
collective bargaining.
Okay,
Included
all
that.
right.
It was in town meeting.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
So,
thought it might be that.
Jack, the only question I
Sure.
have is on the overtime line.
Yes.
Because that's up $75,000. And how do you, because if you look at like the 4 years prior, the actuals,
Mhm.
it's like $307,000
mhm.
average, because there's ups and downs and then.
Absolutely.
So how do you, like, for this year, like, how's it trending this year? And then how do you calculate it for FY '25?
So for this year, right now, we got off to a tough start because we had 2 very serious injuries with people. They're back. That played a role in things. Right now, we seem to be leveling off and we're doing a lot better and we'll continue. We can't predict whether we're gonna have snowstorms this year. And we lucked out last year. I don't anticipate that this year. That's gonna play a role in it too. And it's just how busy we are and the timing of calls, Paul. So what we do is we go by, and this is a program, John probably started this 5 or 6 years ago, and what we did was we tried to budget for an estimated hours based on the trends we saw, and we continued with that. But with the collective bargaining agreement, the different salaries, we had to come up with an average overtime rate and estimate, and that's what we did. We stuck with exactly with level services, we did exactly the way we had it last year. We weren't looking to try to push anything because, you know, we want to keep that. So what we did is we had to increase the average overtime rate based on whatever the collective bargaining was. We estimate in certain areas, we hope we make it in certain areas. Sometimes if it goes over, we hope that maybe something's a little lighter in other areas. So we have something set up for, let's say, Plymouth County Dive Team. We have, I think, 5 members on there. Hoping that we don't have that, we hope for none of that, but hoping we don't have a lot of those, that maybe compensates if something goes a little bit higher on one end. Last year, our department mechanics budget went up in the last 2 years because some of the vehicles are getting older and they've got to work on it. We're hoping that it's kind of leveling off a little bit now, but it really, it's kind of a balancing act based on what we saw in the trends in the last few years. And with the salaries, when we adjust the salaries based on what the collective bargaining is, we try to predict going forward. So I guess in answering your question right now, we won't know exactly where we're at until January, when we back out the 6th month. Andrew's been great. He gives us the updates on, okay, you're a third of the year through, you're this part through for all the town budgets. And we kind of keep an eye on it. And Lex, we do it every week. We kind of look at it and say, well, we haven't, certain, holidays that people are going to get. We haven't done that yet, but this is kind of where we stand. Again, right now, without predicting what the winter's going to be and any type of storms, we're right there. We're close.
And the trending is based on the actuals, not like what we
Correct, it's not.
budgeted in the past.
Yeah, no, we're not, you'll see on some of the things on here, we're either saying the same as what we did, in the operational, the same as what we did last year. Maybe some of them might even be decreased a little bit, so we're really trying to go into the trends with it. But with the salary part, it's tough, and I know you guys know this, but it's not something when we get close, we can kind of say, hey, we're close for today, and I don't mean that in a facetious way in any way, but say the last building fire we had, it was at 7:30 in the morning. Well, the shift's going off shift. We've got the extra guys coming in. We've got to make sure we get them set. It can end up being a big package, but it's necessary. It's what we need. So,
Thank you.
Last question for me. If we were to hire more people, would that overtime go down? Is it the same thing that we've heard here before with other departments? That like if you hire more people, the overtime's not gonna go down?
If you hire more people.
2 more people, right? So 2 more people, let's just take
you
an
would have
average
to
of.
Drop down. So what happens is right now, we're under the national minimums, Greg, on what we're supposed to do. Like we're supposed to have 4 people on the truck. We have 2 people on the truck. And this is not unusual for anyone in the Commonwealth by any means. So with us, with the 6, we get such a big bang for the buck. We run 2 ambulances, 2 engines, and a tower truck, depending on what's going on with the 6 people. If we hired 2 more, by dropping down to 6, we'll get bare minimum, but we're still, it's not, you're not gonna save much because you're gonna get with your benefits. So it's, I know this sounds weird, but the overtime is actually cheaper than hiring people with, you know, any further people with the benefits. And you guys are financial people,
Yeah.
but it's,
Makes sense.
they're getting the biggest bang for the buck out of the overtime. I want to make sure we don't burn everybody out, but.
I was about to say, as long as we're not
That's the thing.
burning people out.
And
'cause-
we're fortunate because, you know, we got a safer grant, which it's staffing from the FEMA grant probably about 6 years ago. I'd written it. And we found a way, working through, you know, the system of getting that second ambulance to be able to bring that revenue in enough to be able to bring it back. I can tell you that if development happens over in the old Naval Air Station, that's a different story. But that's, you know, that may be beyond my career and, you know, what we're going, but for the current time, yeah, I think your question's reasonable, but I think it is the same answer. I think in this instance, for our department, if you hire more people and you drop down, it's not, you're better off with the overtime and the people working it, you know, so.
And we would probably, to really be able to up the number of people per shift, we would have to hire at least 4 more people.
Exactly.
So,
And it's, and everybody in the Commonwealth's going through the same thing. If you talk to any other department, they're all going through the same.
The reason I ask, because
Sure.
you're saying budget and 400 grand for 25, right? And so if you were to hire, I'm just trying to do fast math here. Everybody, it's an average of 100 grand that the firefighter paramedic makes.
Okay.
So that's 4 guys, right? I understand that
Add
benefits and all that other stuff go up another 100 grand per the 4, maybe 25 grand a person, 20 grand a person, roughly. Is that worth spending the extra 100 grand to not have guys burnt out, to have enough people here, to have staff, everything done correctly? Or is it just doesn't really, again, it's not really gonna matter because the 2 guys are gonna get hurt, this is gonna happen, you're still gonna have
Well, I think
overtime?
that's the thing, you just hit it on the head at the
Yep.
end there. I can tell you our people aren't burnt out, they work
Yep.
hard, but they're not, and they would tell you that too. But you can't predict. So what, you know, if you're looking at the straight numbers, and you look at it and say, okay, the extra 100 grand or whatever, but you gotta take into account, like you said, an injury, off-duty response for people coming in on something. And last week, we had 5 calls going on simultaneously. One of them was a bad accident on Route 18. 8 people aren't even gonna do that, you know, with mutual aid ambulances coming in. So we're still gonna have those unexpected things. And that's gonna be a lot more substantial monetary-wise, I think, than anybody anticipates. And it's hard to kind of quantify that a little bit. But I don't think I think you'd spend a lot more than what we're thinking, so.
Jack, can I ask a question?
Absolutely,
Burnout notwithstanding, right?
yeah.
Is the additional overtime, does that act like another incentive to almost ensure we won't have actual like personnel issues? Like, you know, our overtime, our ability to give our firefighters overtime, does that act like an additional incentive?
like they can make extra money that way, essentially. They can supplement their regular
Oh, I
salary.
think
with
that
overtime and
absolutely
stuff.
helps,
So,
it absolutely helps.
That's what
And
you're
I think
saying.
what happens is, like, so we hired a gentleman from Fall River, and there's no residence, you know, requirements for us. Him and his girlfriend moved up here, they're Abington residents now. They want to be involved, he wants to be involved in the community, he's already been involved with a lot of the things. So, in answer to your question, I think yes, Marty, I think if they were making 40,000 each a year, more than what they do, then maybe not, but they also are the same people that we have a building fire, they're gonna be in, and it doesn't make a difference whether they're having dinner with someone, you know most of them, they're gonna be there, and we're gonna be there. you know, we talked about it recently the other day. Years ago, we had a fatal fire at 585 Chestnut Street. It was on Christmas Day. And I had done a swap with one of the captains at the time, so he worked my shift, it would have been mine, so I could have it off. I'm still in there, the chief's still in there, everybody's gonna be there, so it is an incentive to a point, but not, it's not over the top to the point where people, I've seen it in other departments where they just go over the top. So we keep an eye on that.
And the actuals the last 3 or 4 years have been 307, so 400 is kind of in line. It gives you enough cushion in case something happens.
Honestly, this is an estimate, Paul. I don't even know for sure that it's going to be. You know, we had the collective bargaining agreement that was agreed to, and you're really just estimating on it. We don't know this year how it's gonna go because you just can't predict.
Right.
You know, you
Yeah.
really can't. So this was based strictly on the same formula that John used last year and the year before, with an adjustment on the salary scale, and just trying to guess on that, and we're hoping we're gonna stay there. Trust me, there's nothing worse than I'd wanna come back and visit you guys, you know, if we're getting there. We'll get creative and we'll continue to do everything we can.
But if it went over 400,000, it's an outlier from past history.
Yeah.
It would be very rare, like if
Yeah.
you, I think.
Yeah,
I
looking at the
think
actuals.
The trends within it.
It's 270, 329,
It was a 360.
360,
in there at that point, yeah.
267. So
Yeah.
it definitely fluctuates a lot.
It really does.
So,
And where I came up with the 5 was he said 4, so I just said, if we actually hired those 4, would that get rid of X? Right, so the answer, I guess, is no, so it's not worth it.
yeah.
But it's a real valid question. It's
Yeah.
something you gotta ask every time. So, all right.
Before we move
Yes,
on,
absolutely.
I just want to check Barbara, Sarah, do either of you have any questions?
I'm good, Matt.
I'm good, thanks.
Thanks. Just wanted to make sure.
Absolutely, no, I kind of forget that the voice in the sky.
Exactly.
So moving down, you know, you have the holidays, again, contractual.
Do we need to go into the detail of all
No, I
this?
didn't know before.
No, we definitely, as Paul said before, highlights, like,
Highlights.
Okay,
sections
sounds
sections where there are significant changes,
All right,
maybe,
so then
either
I'm
up or
gonna,
down.
then I will jump down all the way to other benefits. So that went from 92.9 to 149, 175. The majority of that's collective bargaining, but it's also clothing allowance, which has gone up drastically, the cost of stuff, but we haven't adjusted what the cost of fire gear is. And we had to adjust it this year, and some of it went up. Like say a helmet was $600 before, it's $1,300 now, and it's the cost of it. So we had to adjust that out, get 5 sets. Something we're hoping we're not gonna have to deal with for a few years. I think Scott might even be in the committee for the state, but they're talking about PFAS. And that PFAS is something that has been involved with fire gear. They've been making fire gear, so they're working on ways to make gear without it. I don't know if that's gonna come down the pipe in the next 2 or 3 years. We don't know for a fact, but in the meantime, we still have to make sure we have proper fire gear for people. And some of the sets of gear, like this year, we probably got 12 or 13 sets of gear that hit their 10-year mark. We can't afford to replace all of that, so what we're doing is we're piecemealing it with the 5 that we did before. And if we don't replace that, the guys can't take fire academy classes beyond the safety thing of it. If it's not certified, they can't use any of it, and the state won't allow us to do any of it, so that's what we did. I did file a grant with the state that for our population, we're allowed up to 19,000 if we get awarded it. I put in for 3 sets. Hopefully we'll find out in January, we'll get that, and that might be an offset a little bit, but those are the reasons for that particular account, why it bumped up. It was just strictly cost more than anything else in trying to get a hold of it. So, any questions on that? You want to hit the expense budget?
Yep.
Real quick, Scott, is there anything that we can do? I assume the answer is no, but is there anything we can do if something costs us $600 one year and it's $1,300 the next year? Because like, we all know stuff's more expensive, but like, that is a little like aggressive, right? So whoever's owning that company is doing A-okay. Is there any way
There's probably
to?
an assumption that his expenses went up as well.
Yes,
for
yes.
some reason.
Most likely not 100% though, because I don't think anybody can really record that right now. So my only point is, and I believe in what he's saying, is there any way to say like, hey, you know, I don't know if there's a negotiation or whatever, maybe the place that we buy from, we could look somewhere else.
You can always look elsewhere. We can always go out to bid. A
Yes.
lot of the stuff we buy is already on
So the state
a
bid.
state
Yep.
bid list
Okay.
or some other, there's more than just one bid list too. There's
Yep.
half a dozen that we can use. Some of them are, as far away as Texas, Galveston. So,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, I don't know that we, I mean, we could, and then we can do our own if we really wanted to. And
Okay.
Maybe we'd see the savings, I don't know.
That's a good point, though, you know, because we looked at it too, and you're like, my gosh, but they're state bid lists, and we went through like 3 different manufacturers, and they were all in line with it, pretty close. And they kind of have us, and I know what you're thinking. It's like,
No, I mean,
we need it,
Yeah.
you know, but you're exactly right. You look at it and say,
I think at some
Wow.
point in the,
I wish
hopefully
I
the
was
near
that guy.
future, some of this stuff starts to calm down, because I think they know states and cities and governments got money
Mm-hmm.
from whatever, and, you know, they try to extract as much as humanly possible, that's fine, but again, I don't know, if you went out to buy a $50,000 car today and tomorrow was 100, that's a tough deal.
I understand.
Their audience, these manufacturers, their audience is much smaller also.
Sure.
You know, they're not making for the masses, they're making specifically for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And our concern down the road is if, you know, with the PFAS stuff, if they work something out and they change the way they're doing the gear and it has to be a different type, is, let's try to find a manufacturer, and they're not gonna be able to, the demand is gonna be well beyond the supply.
Yeah.
And, you
It's
know,
all gonna hit
we're-
at once.
we're running into a lot of that stuff
Change
now, like
the
you see the supply chain stuff with the ambulance and fire engines now, depending on what you get, it's 2 to 4 years for delivery from the time you order it. It's crazy, you know, so that's why we're just trying to milk it along, you know, with our folks and what we have, and take care of what we have, and, you know, just try to piecemeal it, so. Anyone else? You wanna, expense? At the expenses? Let's see.
You just had the one big adjustment.
I was gonna say,
Yeah,
the big adjustment
looks like
looks to
just
be,
one.
Yep, absolutely.
is that the Holbrook dispatch?
Well, there's 2. There's
So the
one.
Holbrook dispatch,
I
I
was
think
gonna say,
we're,
yeah.
It's the 92,000.
That's the 92,000.
we're back on
That's the
after
first year,
the
yeah.
3 years off
That's
for the police
50%.
coming on.
Correct, that's our 50%, the police have the 50%.
And we have one more year in the contract, and so next year, the price will go up again. It's 287, and so half will be in his, half will be in police.
Yep.
And then, you know, we'll probably start negotiating next year. The assumption would be that they'll get another round of funds and another round of grant money, and it will hopefully decrease a bit, or we'll get
Yeah.
new toys for the new fire station out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, probably a lot of communication stuff will come through the grant.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're terrific. We actually had a meeting today with a new product that they're demonstrating, myself and the deputy went over, and like anything else, I'm skeptical on everything until you prove me otherwise. But they said if we do this for the towns we cover, we're gonna get a grant, and it's not gonna be at any cost to you. So at that point, I'm like, all right, what about the repairs? What about the upkeep? And that's the things we look at. But we're getting a lot of bang for the buck from them. We got this past year $336,000. That's what I meant to mention to you in the radio grant. And Captain Cotty wrote that. It's fantastic. So we had all mobile radios in each one of the trucks, plus new portables. We got them. We're getting some interference, and we're saying it's not the product. So they've got it narrowed down, and this is Holbrook and their expertise. It's a bi-directional amplifier. And long story short, what it is for anybody that doesn't know, it's an antenna that's set up in a strategic place in town that basically takes the signal coming off the radio, takes it, bounces it, and bounces it back out. And there's only 2 places in town that have them. It's a new high school, and it's Cape Cod Line. So they're narrowed it down, and they're gonna work on it, whether it's a faulty piece on it or whatever.
And these are things that we put in, right? Or we
Correct.
made them put in.
Correct.
So you'd be able to communicate when you get in those
Absolutely.
buildings.
Yeah, so they're fantastic.
Yep.
They're narrowing this down, and I work with them today on it, but that's what some of the things we get from them for that dispatch, beyond the fact that you don't have guys like me on the radio dispatching ourselves. No one wants to hear that. That was years ago, so. Yeah, that's the only big thing in the expense stuff. Otherwise, we're pretty close, really pretty close, if not, right there or under. As far as any type of anticipated needs coming down the pipe, again, we've got that retirement, that's gonna be in FY '24, we've got the retirement in January we're looking at. We don't anticipate any retirements for a few years after that, but we can't guarantee anything. Talked about the fire gear a little bit, talked with Andrew and Scott that our breathing apparatus, that's gonna be expired in 2029. We're not gonna be able to get a grant for it because I got a grant for us with it 15 years ago, and they're not gonna do a repeat from the feds. Can't explain at this point now, price-wise, you don't know where it's at. I know when we got them, 10 years ago, or whatever, for everything in the department, it was about 300,000. I can only imagine, but we're gonna put that on long-term, just to kind of let you folks know ahead of time, this is what we're anticipating. That's kind of all I have for you, unless you have questions.
This is a question to Andrew and Scott. If we know something like that's gonna happen, rather than taking the hit all at once, is there a way to sort of amortize into it, or is that allowed, or I don't know. It's a question, it's not a suggestion.
Create a savings account.
I've often,
Put money into it each year.
thought of, and we've talked about capitalization, the capital stabilization account, but, oh, I'm sorry.
I made a joke,
Go
I said
ahead.
a swear jar at the fire department.
Oh, that's-
But
It's
it's
the same
really
thing.
wasn't worth repeating.
Listen, if you're gonna make a fire department joke, you gotta speak louder, I couldn't hear you. It's a good one.
But a stabilization account's a stabilization account, so, we could put it into our regular stabilization account with the caveat that we'll probably be bringing this out. at some
Yeah, I don't know if it makes sense or not, I just
No, it does.
wonder.
No, and that's, it's kind of why we put together the capital plan that we did put together, and why we will be going through it every year and adjusting for things like this.
And
when they
if
come.
we know things are gonna come, they were all gonna expire at once,
Correct.
and there's time delays between when you order and they come,
Exactly.
when do you order it? And do you
Right.
order more, all those
Absolutely.
things.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
gonna get to with the capital a little bit, but Scott's done a fantastic job with it. Last year when I met with him and with the chief, and we kinda went over it, and he had said, we're gonna do capital, plan 5 years, 6 years in advance, whatever. It's perfect, because it gives us a chance to line up what we're gonna be facing down the road.
Good, thank you.
Expense-wise, anybody questions, I can, then, just, do you wanna go over the capital stuff real quick, or?
Barbara, Sarah, any expense questions?
I have no questions.
No, Matt, I'm good on expenses.
All right, let's talk
All right,
capital.
so the capital ones, I'll give you the smaller ones first. So we're gonna be asking, we put in for, I think it's 11,300 and something, it's for a radio bill that during the COVID portion, it fell through the cracks on an ambulance. Since that time, explained to them and said, here's the deal, it's accurate, but it was in the process of outfitting a couple of the vehicles on the radios. So they're gonna bill it for this year, and I explained it to them, I said, it's gotta go through our town meeting in the spring, but we owe it, and we need to take care of it, and we will take care of it. The next thing is the deputy's car. So this is Ford Expedition. It's got a lot of miles, pretty beat up on it. That's something that it's a responsibility for him. It's not just something around town, it's like we go mutual aid, so like, next month, I may be the third alarm chief, we call it, from the county. Any 3-alarm fires I respond to as an additional automatically, so we have that. I've got a newer vehicle, he doesn't, so we put in for that. The biggie is gonna be a new engine, and we're replacing the 1996 engine. The tough one on this one, Greg's gonna have a heart attack here, but we just gotta say it straight up, but, so, probably about 4 years ago, you could get a brand new fire engine with what you needed, the minimum, not the creme de la creme, for about 500, maybe 550,000, maybe. Right now, the price range is going anywhere from 850 to $1 million. We're not looking at the $1 million one. So, talking with some of the area chiefs that have put in for, that's how I found out about with the time frame. There's basically 4 different manufacturers that you're looking at. one of them that's 4 years out, they're that one there that we're not going after, but we'll put a committee together when the time comes. We gotta get something ordered because we're not gonna see it for 2 years. And that's where it's at. And I had spoken with one of the area chiefs that's been doing this, and I said, okay, so how's it work? And he said, it's not gonna be a cost coming out of the town for another 2 years to get started, but it's, and Andrew had talked about it a little bit, but that's, to answer your point, that's exactly it. Is it horrible? Yeah, because the value on our tower truck, it's double. If we had to get one today, that's a win with what John got.
Yeah.
It'd be double that today. But we need them, you know what I mean? It's not to be sarcastic, but we can't show up in a pickup truck and buckets of water. It's necessary, so those are the three items for capital for us.
Questions?
Thank you.
Great job, chief.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
I won't make fun of your hat, Greg. I thought it was impressive. I'm a guy that likes to stay warm too.
I'm
The short tinsel on
It's
top.
going,
you
so
know.
I don't need to, I'm not gonna look good like Scott, so.
Yes, you will.
I had actually said to him one time when I found out he was my age, and I said, you know what, man, I really liked you until I found out you're my age. I hate you now. He looks 10 years younger than me, so.
It's all that Duxbury time.
I don't know what it is, but boy, I gotta start
That
drinking,
ocean.
whatever it is, I gotta drink.
It's that ocean limit.
Love it. All those mojitos from the room.
So, in all seriousness, thank you guys for what you do, seriously. It's a thankless process for you guys and what you do.
Skincare routine.
It's,
And
we have to we need checks and balances, so we appreciate it, we appreciate you hearing us, what's going on.
and we thank you guys for what you do.
So,
Thank you.
thank you. Next department coming
Next
in,
up.
they're pretty awesome, so.
You picked them. You picked them.
Did I?
Yeah, you voted for them. Absolutely.
No, these two guys right here. No, they're good. We work well with building services, better now than we ever have before, and, with fire prevention. So, the utmost confidence.
Good to hear.
Thank you, Chief.
Jack, Alexis, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
All right. I'll see you
Thanks,
later.
Jack.
Thanks, Brian. Feel better.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, buddy. Thanks. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk to you.
All right. Next up, we have our inspectional services department.
Hello, everybody. Jason Harris. Nice to meet you.
Matt Sala, nice to meet you.
How you doing? How are you? Boss, how you doing? How are you? Good to see you. See you. Nice to meet you.
Oh, Chris Marks.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, Jason.
Hi, how are you doing? How you guys doing? Something not feeling well, or?
Yeah, little under the weather.
I hope you feel better. Sounds like
Thank you.
You're a little doozy from the cough medicine, I gave you about 3 million. So, thank you. My name's Jason Harris. I am the new building commissioner here for the town.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. If you allow, I'd probably like to take a minute just to kind of
Go
tell you a
for it.
little bit about me and
That'd be
how
great.
I got here. And so I was hired back in 2021, August 2021, as a local inspector just to kind of help out. I was working for another community in that same position as a local inspector. And I live here. I'm a resident here in town for about 15 years. So it was kind of a keeping me thing on my way home. I was the local inspector down in Hull.
Okay.
So I'd go down there during the day, work here at night, work, where I could on Fridays. I didn't work down there, so. In that capacity it was about 10 hours a week that I was involved in the building department. I became the conditional part-time February 1st of this year, 2023, because we had a change of leadership in the office and we needed the coverage within the office. So I stepped up and worked as long and as hard as I could with my primary duties down there. I was coming in the morning, doing inspections in the morning, at night, Fridays, Saturdays, whatever it took to provide the coverage for the town so that we maintain our compliancy. Upon November 1st, I became was it conditional? Or is it? I don't think I've been You'll always be conditional.
I don't think I've been sworn, I think we hit the ground running, we've been so busy, I don't think we've taken the time to kind of swear me in and make it official, but I became full-time here November 1st. So I've had limited interactions with the budget up until November, you know, where I've prepared for this and prepared for fiscal year '25. Shortly after the previous FinCom is when the change of leadership kind of switched over. We kind of just scrambled to do what we could and keep the department together. But so that's basically how I got here. And if you'd like, I could start with a little bit of. Sure.
Yeah,
I think it's important for the kind of the audience and the folks out there to know kind of like what we do. I know they've heard it before, and I won't do the whole thing, but a little bit of the mission statement here. Our primary mission in the Abington Building Department is to administer, implement.
We're gonna get microphone better position.
Thank you very
for
much.
you.
The primary mission in the Abington Building Department is to administer and implement the state building codes and local zoning bylaws. Building codes are life and safety issues. Zoning bylaws are quality of life matters. The proper supervision and enforcement of both are essential to help increase the safety and quality of life of Abington residents and business owners. This also translates into increased property values and contributes to smart growth for the community. Just another brief little section here. The department also oversees many other state and federal regulations. These statutes include state mechanical, plumbing, gas, electrical, handicap accessibility, energy codes, along with federal floodplain criteria. This department interacts daily with numerous town departments during concurrent application review. Our staff perform daily inspections to ensure benchmarks are achieved for construction projects, along with executing annual life safety inspections. This department additionally provides oversight to the Board of Appeals and the Department of Weights and Measures. And then, of course, it just goes into when I start and how I got here. The achievements since I took over February, departments regained operation functions back to 100% capacity. So that is first and foremost. I think when I got here, things, like I said, were kind of in disarray and had been for quite some time. It's plagued the department for many years. So what I did is I got in, I identified the weaknesses in the department, and we went right to work. We get the department running back up to about 100% capacity. It's fully staffed, fully functional. It's a well-oiled machine. Excuse me. The department's accomplished full implementation of online permitting, including the amendments made to ensure efficiency, adaptability, and user convenience. So essentially, the online permitting had started. There were some few kinks here and there. Wasn't very user-friendly. Wasn't really, meeting the needs of the department. We made those changes and amendments, and now it's very good for us, and it's helping us not just survive, but to thrive.
Yeah.
And what we're working on right now is trying to help other department heads kind of get used to the tech of it. So we've pulled contracts, we've talked to liaisons over there of maybe doing some online or some in-person educational stuff. So on-site, what we've created and implemented a public outreach program to assist property owners with additional care and commitment procedures. So what I did right off the bat, it's not very like I said, it's not very user-friendly to use the online application. So we have a lot of contractors who, will otherwise feel a little nervous or, aggravated and not want to either pull permit, or homeowners not want to do that. So we started going to them to show them how to use the tech, bringing the mobile laptops and doing the applications with them. So that's worked out really well. The permit submittals have come up 80%. I mean, it's fantastic. It's working great. And so the more folks that we teach, they teach other folks. We just got a call yesterday, as a matter of fact, that one of the residents that I went to sit down and do the permit application with them, they had taught their neighbor how to do it. And so their neighbor, and you could see how it could be, useful in many ways. Another thing is on-site scheduled site visits to assist property owners that have accessibility limitations. So folks that can't get up here, or folks that can't get online and can't do this again. So we've spent a lot of time. We've hit the bricks and walked the town and done what we've done. Another thing we've done is schedule on-site visits to assist property owners, contractors, developers with in-depth explanations and education on proper construction control and construction safeguard prior to the start of any project. So what I noticed right off the bat through town was the immense amount of construction, new projects going on, but they were unsafe. You know, many of them I had to shut down. And so by talking to the bigger developers and the contractors that are used to doing it a certain way, but not used to doing it almost the right way.
The right way.
Have education with them, you know, go down and talk to them, tell them how to make things better, how to, you know, make things more safe, and it just adds another layer of protection for the town, you know, that we don't have unforeseen calls to emergency services.
Yep.
And got the department completely ethically trained and certified. So that was a big thing for me too, to make sure that all of our staff members collectively together, all our inspectors, anywhere from admins all the way to inspectors, everybody got certified and it got documented, so.
And what's the certification that they,
The online ethics test?
is it the state ethics?
Correct.
The
Oh,
one,
okay.
the one that we take too.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Same one. Yeah.
Well, they have a slightly
I'm
different
gonna,
version.
I'm
for
gonna guess
employees.
they've got specific stuff.
Yeah, it's more specific to be an employee as
Yeah.
opposed to a board member.
Yep.
It's kind of tailored to your position too, so you
Yeah.
put in where you are, what you do. Mine's tailored a little bit different than like administrative assistant would
Yep.
be, right? But essentially, everybody's got their niche in it.
Yep.
But it was a big thing to me to make sure that that was done, to let the public know that, hey, you know, we're taking accountability in the department. And most importantly, consistency.
Can I just ask a question though,
Sure.
just where you presented it? So we saying, were people not doing it before? Because it's required every 2 years, you don't have a choice.
Right. They were, but it was outdated because it wasn't, prior leadership, I don't think, started with the basics and then worked up, so it was missing. I didn't see it, and that was one of the first things I thought was important to get out of the way.
Okay.
And again, with the transition in the office, you know, change of leadership from one person to the next, you know, things get misplaced, things get, you know, educational books or paperwork, it could get, you know, piled in together, lost, misplaced. But to me, I didn't see it, so immediately, the first thing I wanted to do is to make sure that was taken care of. And then also bring some consistency, you know, to the public and to the contractors, which I think has been missing for, like I said, quite some time, so. Some of the goals we would like to do is, we're finalizing the details to implement the full social media presence to offer the community the most available and convenient means of education, public awareness, alerts, consistent updates that this department feels that would be beneficial to the public. We also look forward to the continuation of top-tier level of service and dedication that has been established in the department. So, on top of our outreach program, I think that, you know, social media presence would be really beneficial to the public, anywhere from, you know, alerts to weather, to, you know, life and safety issues, to, you know, educational videos pertaining to filing for permits, or for, you know, there's, you know, many things we can put on there that I think would be beneficial to the public, so. And I see a few other departments are out there already, you know, in process with that, and would like to jump on board.
Yeah, sounds
So,
good.
what we're trying to do is just take care of the meat and potatoes, get the place back on track first, before we start, you know, hyper-focusing on the smaller details, but, that's good so far.
Sounds good.
Did you want to go into the budget, or?
Yep,
Did you want to start?
does anyone have questions before we get into budget? Barbara, Sarah?
I'm good, thanks, Matt.
Nope, I'm good, thanks.
Greg?
Okay.
All right,
Our
so,
budget is pretty straightforward. Our highlights here are the increases to the salary from full-time building commissioner and full-time zoning agent. So those were taken down at one point, and now we're reestablishing back into the department. And the budget looks kind of a hefty 22% increase. What that is reestablishing full-time positions, and again, we're fully staffed at this point. And that includes the cost of living allowances are calculated into that, as well as the negotiated union and step raises for the union employees in the department. I requested to see if we could, well, we did implement a line item for inspector emergency response call coverage. Instead of going over continuously every year, put something in there so there's transparency there.
So what would an emergency response call
A call from the fire department for aid, consisting of the electrical inspector if the wires are down, somebody hits a pole,
Okay.
somebody drives a vehicle into a home. I'll respond. The dynamics have changed within the office. Myself becoming full-time now, under my union contract, my time is covered. But the other inspectors, they are not. So we were able to, we typically would go over on an average, I think, about 20,000 consistently, but now that's cut in half. So we have the plumbing and gas inspector and the assistant building inspector, electrical inspector, and then any mutual aid is a line item, I think other compensation is a line item in there for anything like that. Small reduction in office expenses. Things are a little bit more expensive. We're trying to cut where we can and trying to be, do our due diligence, but nothing significant that we could take off. Our DocuWare tech budget is a little hefty. We're gonna work on that. But as of right now, like I said, bringing consistency to the department and starting there, and then, if you want to be successful, make your bed first, and then move on from there. So, any questions about the cause?
Yeah, the only on, Andrew, this is probably for you, as far as last year's budget, that zoning agent was on the budget as a clerk, correct? And now,
With fewer hours, I believe.
It really was miscategorized.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
the one thing that we had talked about, and probably even before Jason was back on full-time, was that she was actually doing inspector work, like any other
we did talk
building
about
inspector,
that
health
last
inspector, and not, so it should have been classified different. And the other thing is that she wasn't being paid as the same as all the other inspectors,
Okay.
which brought up a real big equity issue that we took care of.
so there was just a misclassification as far as the way it was presented?
Yep.
Okay.
I should have mentioned that. I apologize, but I'm the one who changed the classification name on it, just to kind of keep it consistent from here on in. And then, of course, her difference in salary is within that figure as well.
I noticed on the admin assistants, so those salaries increased a little bit higher than others. Was that trying to adjust?
The only increase in the admin assistance would be for the union contracted step raises, and then the COLA allowance, 2%. So that's the only, the difference in salary for two admin assistants.
It was just because when I was looking at it compared to last year, it seemed like it was a little higher than what others were getting.
It's all predetermined for the union.
The clerical union might have gotten an extra percent
Okay.
this year because it was, I remember, we had to come back and renegotiate something with them because of something that we had done with another one of the unions. So they probably did get an extra 1% on top of that. It's probably more like a 3% bump.
Yeah, I have a predetermined scale in the office, whatever was agreed upon. And again, this is an established budget, and I kind of came in a couple of weeks after it was already established and approved. But I could double check for you. I've done it, 2 or 3 times, and
Yeah, I'm not worried about the dollar amount, because on a $60 million budget, it's not much.
Right.
But it's just, if you look at percentages, say, well, why is that?
no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally understand. As it pertains to our fees, I mean, we're in line to probably have the best financial year ever. And that's because we've brought consistency. We've made it inviting for folks to come into the office. We've made it inviting for, contractors to have comfortable pulling permits. Our enforcement efforts have gone up 200% since I've been here in 10 months. So the community is safer, and it's more inviting and welcome, and there's an open door policy. And, it's been a revolving door ever since, for about 10 months now.
On Saturdays, we follow people home from Lowe's.
It wasn't my idea.
Something to do.
At the beginning, when I was, part-time, that was actually part of the deal. It was a couple hours spent on Saturdays to do just that, just to split the town into
Not
quadrants.
follow people.
Not follow people. But to split the community into quadrants and kind of just do enforcement runs. You know, and 9 times out of 10, I think most of the, enforcement came down, a lot of it was on Saturday. You'd catch, folks doing things that weren't safe, or weren't without a permit, or they were, engaging in gas or electrical projects where there was no permitting, and, homeowners doing that, and it's, you kind of pull over, hey, it's not really that safe, and let's talk about it, but, it's worked out well. I came into this department, I will never lead from above. I'm in the mud we're a team. We've done it as a team, and we all understand that the hard work that we're doing, it's a mission for sustained excellence. It's gonna take a lot of work, and we've spent countless hours working together as a team. The atmosphere is different, and it shows. And we want to show up to work. We want to do the best. We're vested in we have vested interest in the community. I think a majority of the office now is Abington residents. And I don't think you've seen that in too many different departments. So we stretch the dollar as far as it'll go, and everything else, we hope that it helps out other areas. But I think we're off to a great start. And like I said, we're starting small, and I look forward to seeing what we can do in the future. I think we're off to a really, really great start, and hopefully things have been a little easier in your office. And I really appreciate the opportunity you've given me to, went on a limb to give me an opportunity to see what I could do. And I think we're off to a great start.
And we got the revenues, that's this side, right, the permits and everything. So just looking at that, fiscal year '23, that's actual, 442, and then fiscal year '23 expense is 316. Is this really a revenue a profit generator?
Revenue generating department.
Yeah.
Well, some years are better than others, keep in
Right,
mind.
no, I know.
And there's also shared expenses that don't show.
Okay, all right.
This doesn't take into consideration things like you said, what is the actual cost of your forever costs of the employees, or
Oh, okay, all right.
powering up that department,
Okay.
or
Yeah.
vehicle maintenance, whatever it might be.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's obviously, it's one of those departments that is paid for largely through the people that use that service.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
The
it is
fees.
great.
That's our goal, not to be an additional burden to the taxpayers, including myself. So, like I said, we're doing everything within our power to make it inviting, to make it consistent, to make it, to thrive. And I think that I couldn't be more proud of my teammates. We've done it as a team. It's a different atmosphere, and I hope that if you folks haven't noticed it, that we invite anybody to come in and kind of shadow us around and check out the operations in there and see what we do. And
Show you how to pull a permit if you want.
Yeah.
absolutely. We'll get into that, but I think starting where we are on an immediate basis, it took a lot of hard work. We rolled our sleeves up and we get to work, and we all put in extra effort and hours, and I think we're doing really well.
What you could do, I know you talked about social media, but you could make a video of how to pull a permit, if that's what you're saying, it's easy.
That's
Like
it.
just with, you already have it?
Yeah, so I've already laid the groundwork for it, and probably,
I'm just saying, put it online, right? You put it
Absolutely.
online as video, and then as somebody searches Abington, because I could tell you 100%, probably shouldn't say this out loud. I've asked, whatever, people to come in, and they're like, Abington, we're not doing the permit.
right,
They're like, it's, no.
right.
And I'm like, what is that? I don't even know what that means. I don't know if
That's
they
the
don't want to do, and
statement.
these people are legit people,
Yeah.
and they're like, it's not. And I don't even know what that meant. I was just like, okay, I guess that's just, what
Absolutely.
you guys, what happens, I don't know.
And that's half of the problem of, trying to get contractors and homeowners to pull the permits, because if you don't make it easy, and, it doesn't have to be easy, necessarily easy, but they have to be educated on how to do it. When I.
Well, what the steps are,
Correct.
like what happens after you pull the permit?
For instance, I came.
Like,
from
do you
another
just pull the
community.
permit?
Right. I came from another community. We used a completely different software.
Yep.
And so not only do I have to, take over a different department, I had to learn that department. I had to learn your zoning. I had to learn your, online permitting system, and fast, like yesterday, And so if somebody's got an emergency going on and they need to pull a permit, They're not thinking about the permit, they're thinking about their emergency.
Yeah.
Or if they're trying to meet a deadline, you know,
Right.
we recognize this and we help them, you know? Like I said, we've gone to homes. I've probably helped past 60, you know, homeowners here in town that we've been to their
That's great.
homes. And it's worked out great. The social media that I'm discussing, that will all be in there. They'll have different educational tabs in there, whether it be permitting, whether it be, you know, areas of resources to get water, you know, filters, or when to change them, or smokes and carbon locations, and how to change them, how to check them, how to, you know, things like that. So, you know, a lot of life and safety issues, a lot of convenience issues, and then tons of education. I think it'd be really, really great. Not a lot of communities do that. I love that Abington does that. I love when I see the police department, the fire department, a lot of the departments put their stuff out there, and it's great. I love to see the engagement, and I want to be part of it, so I think that'll be really, really great for our department.
Nice.
Can I just add, so,
Sure.
like 92% of your budget's salary. When you think 3-5 years out, are there things that you would need in your budget to be that more effective? Whether it's communication with, you know, the townspeople, or even just making your staff more effective because they don't have to do this or that?
I think the best thing for us is we're kind of different in our department and what we need and what our requirements are. I think it's more of education will always be our greatest ally. It's constantly changing. The department, the codes, everything you know, consistently changes every couple of years. And we need to be brought up to speed on that unless, you know, or else we're not going to be able to do our jobs correctly. So within the budget, there's a small education line item there. And it's just continuing education for, you know, staff members, admins to go in there, whether it be continuing on Excel or Microsoft Word or, you know, business management, you know, introductory to that, anything that will be helpful for that. Also, we keep in there for continuing education for the inspectors, you know, to keep up their credentials and to keep up their education process. But big ticket items, no. There is a new vehicle.
Slightly bigger vehicle you
Yeah,
requested?
that's a problem. I can't fit in the vehicle that we have.
What's the vehicle?
So it's a little,
I denied that request, by the way.
is that a little Corolla? Is that a Corolla?
It's not a Corolla.
Sounds like there's a Suburban coming up,
No, you know what it is?
right?
I think I spent the last 2 weeks, and that's probably why Scott's bringing this up. I begged everybody I knew to take the brand-new vehicle and give me something with a million miles on it, just to get around. It's got a lot of dangerous blind spots in it, you know, and the seat doesn't adjust. I'm just, you know, I'm a bigger guy.
Yeah.
And it's a smaller vehicle, and it might have been great for somebody else, but.
I'm 6'3". I feel
And I don't think you'd fit.
your pain.
Everybody who goes near it, I'm not interested. It's just the same thing. But, you know, we'll make do. Use my own vehicle as much as I can. I currently have a nail in my rear right from a job site, so I'll be using that vehicle tomorrow. I'll probably remove the seat so I can sit closer to the floor.
Make sure you charge them.
Sit in the
That's
back
right.
seat.
But listen, we understand, it's all hard work, it's elbow grease,
Yeah.
you know, and it's getting in there with the community and removing the stigma that's been attached to this department for so many years. It's plagued the department for so many years, and we've had it, all of us have had it. You know, and I'll be honest with you, you know, I came here and I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how the department was left because I had limited interaction with the department. And once I got here, I started peeling the layers of the onion, and, you know, we got a lot of work ahead of us. But again, we did it as a team, you know? And if you have good leadership, and leadership is us as a entire group. It's not, I'm not the leadership, we're the leadership. And everybody's focused on wanting to thrive, wanting to be, you know, the best for the community and giving everything we have. And as a team, I couldn't be more proud of these guys. I mean, they've given me everything they have, you know? And I'm typically the guy that's behind the scenes. I provide results. I don't provide, you know, things like this.
Yep.
I'll fix things. I'm a fixer. You know, this is my second time rebuilding an entire department. So my process works, but it takes teamwork. And it takes, everybody has to collectively give everything to want to succeed. And I'll tell you, I haven't met a better crew of guys and girls here. They're amazing. And we've reestablished really important relationships with other department heads that have been broken. You know, we're an asset now to the fire department.
Good.
You know, we're an asset now to the Board of Health, you know, and there was little to no communication before, no consistency, no transparency, and, you know, we spent the entire 10 months taking the existing policies and procedures and getting rid of them. And we built a brand-new department, all brand-new policies, procedures, and we implemented them, and I gotta tell you, it's a different department, and I'm proud of it. You know, I'm proud of the things that we're doing, and I'm proud of these guys every day, and when they leave, they're exhausted. When they come in, they're happy. You know, it's just that process, and there's no complaining, and everybody kicks in.
Couldn't agree more.
Except for this guy. This is actually one of the newest member of our team. This is David Rosenberg. He's
Nice to meet everybody.
an asset
Nice
to the
to meet you.
department.
Good to have
Comes
you.
to us with a business administration background and realty background, and, you know, everybody in the department now has, one, a vested interest in the department, and two, comes with the right tools. And I think that we're gonna do some great things.
Nice.
You know, it'll be a little rocky for another few months, another maybe 6 months, but once we get through this and get the tech done and keep implementing things and, you know, get more and more people to come in there and feel comfortable, we'll be great. I really appreciate, again, the opportunity that you've given to me, and it's, you know, our repayment is showing, you know, the town, our town manager, you folks, everybody around us, that we can do it. I think we've done that so far, but we have so much more to offer.
Nice.
And I'm excited, so.
Great.
Any
Very good,
questions
thank
for
you.
me?
Any other questions? Barbara, Sarah, anything?
No question, just a comment. Jason, it sounds like you've made a lot of positive changes in a short period of time, so I'm really happy to hear that.
Thank you.
McRaven makes a good book.
Right.
Make your bed.
Make your bed. That's right. It all starts with that.
All right. Anything else,
No,
anyone?
excellent, thank you.
Jason, thank you so much for your
Absolutely.
time.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely
Scott.
appreciate it.
Sorry I was kind of rushing through things. I
David,
know it's
thank you
been a
for
long
coming.
day for you all, and I'm just trying to, you know.
No, thank you. We appreciate your time. It's been a long day for you guys as well.
Well, we could have got you out early if Jack didn't jump
He
you.
did take my
He
spot.
did.
He did.
In all fairness, you know.
He did.
He's got the nice cars, the big, full size.
He's got a nice guy, you know, he can sit
Talking
there,
about the
he can
$1
see
million
out the-
fire engine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to leave a couple of times, like, oh. All right, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank
you,
Have a
gentlemen.
wonderful night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When are they getting a new car, truck, whatever he asked for? Not him, the other guy? Fire?
When are they? moving
Yeah, was it
again?
25? That's the 25 budget?
Well, we may have, we don't know yet. We haven't formulated the capital plan, but if we do have a warrant article for the town meeting, we would order it. But by the sounds of things, it'd be 2 years out.
2 years. And then we don't have any other vehicle, I mean, he is a large guy for a Toyota Corolla. So.
It's not a Toyota Corolla.
Oh, all right, sorry, I thought that's what he literally,
No,
did he say
it's-
He
that?
said a Corolla.
Oh, all right, so
I
that's.
think
It's
that was a joke.
I think it's like a Ford
I don't know what
Edge or a
All
Ford
right,
Escape.
Escape is.
But, yeah, it
It's
is.
obviously not a big
Yeah.
vehicle.
I mean, we'll try and find something. I think the police department's probably getting two on their capital plan, so maybe they have a car without too much mileage that we could repurpose. We'll see what we can do.
All right.
He seems like a Blazer kind of guy.
I just thought about a Corolla, so I was like, it's not. I don't fit in a Corolla, that guy's bigger, so.
All right, do we have any, moving on our agenda, do we have any liaison reports?
I'll just share with the school, and got you, Melody, so the school department, the principals, department heads, directors are meeting this week. Then next week, they're taking everything internal to the admin team, to administrative team to look at it. And then the preliminary budget draft was January 9th to the school.
9th or 10th, I think they told me.
To the school committee.
Yeah, and I asked them if 2% would be a good placeholder, and they thought that probably wasn't gonna work.
They thought 1% was better.
Yeah.
So,
They thought you said 20%.
yeah.
Can I just ask, what's that thing on the table there?
They're recording, it's just a separate recorder.
That's
So if for some reason.
That's the black box in
That-
case
yeah,
the town
that's-
hall crashes.
Yeah, all right.
Press the button, yeah.
I thought it was Jack's, because then when he left, it was still there. so-
It's a grenade
If there's
holder.
a problem with the audio, they can dub it back in.
Oh, okay.
When they go for
All
the
right.
replay, so.
Nice.
They're always listening.
There was no correspondence.
Oh,
Now, unless we want to talk about your correspondence, your question to, I think you had just sent it to me and maybe the chairman, who's not here, about talking about the level service budget, or you
yeah.
want to
Yeah,
wait till
did you
next
wanna go
week?
into
We can do it
that?
another time, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll talk about that next week. The question that was put forth was, what exactly does a level service budget mean? What does that entail? Which is a good thing for us to explain from time to time, so.
It is, because I think we all do it enough that we just don't even think twice about it, but the average person would have
Right, yeah.
no clue what we mean.
And on that, does the school department have their own policy on this?
They get the message, they get the memo, but I don't know that they,
Because they have their own policies on things, and, all the town really, is just approving one number, because it's up to the school committee, so I wasn't sure
yeah.
how that works.
No, I mean, we let them know that that's our feeling. They're at the department head meeting when we put that out, and, but again, the school committee has their own.
Right.
And if they need to expand on programs, they're gonna put it forward.
Yeah, because you could sit there and say level service, we could talk about
Yeah.
that.
I just want to throw it out there. We don't have to have an answer tonight, but, and I didn't want to ask an email, because I know that's not proper, and last week I was sick, but how did we go from 35 million on that building to really including these guys and everything being okay with better? I don't need an answer right now, but there should be, because other people have asked me the same question. Fire building
Yeah.
went from 35 million to 35 million, and then these guys were incorporated a lot more. What happened?
I think you mean 58.
58 to
38.
Yeah, and then not the inspector, well, the building
The-
people, the
the
Department of Public
highway-
Works, whatever it
the
is, highway,
DPW.
was included more? How did it stay the same, and these guys were included more?
Well, that's just the downsizing, value engineering.
Great.
The square footage of the buildings will be reduced on both sides.
Yeah, so I didn't see that when we were at town meetings, that was the last time I had a visual thing, the maps were there or whatever, so that was my question, I didn't want to answer it at town meetings, I didn't want to beleaguer the point, whatever, beat it up. But it's more of a question of what is happening.
So right now, that committee, we're just reworking things just at the starting process now with the engineers and the designers. The committee has been formed on our end, our new building committee. So we've had probably one meeting. I think we're meeting again next week. There'll be posted meetings, just like anything else. We'll meet here. And as things progress, we'll start posting it on the website. We would expect, and I don't know if they'll have it for this meeting, hopefully this one or within a couple of weeks, they'll have some new scaled-down versions of what still meets everybody's needs, but is scaled down to a point that it's getting within that budget range.
Great.
So, and we'll just, again,
That's what I wanted.
Yeah, it can be done.
That's literally exactly what I wanted. I just wanted to know how we got there. So thank you. It was just more, you don't need to answer it now, just a better understanding of, we wanted both of these departments to get as much stuff as they could under one roof or two roofs or whatever. And it didn't sound like that, maybe three, but it didn't sound like that was happening. And then all of a sudden it happened. So I like it. Thanks.
I missed last week, I don't know if it was discussed at all, do we, as the finance committee, have a representative or liaison on that committee?
No,
We did on the school building committee.
you don't have one on this one. You're welcome to attend. More than welcome to come.
We can talk about that as a committee next week if we want. So,
I'm assuming.
Well, in 2 weeks, we have fire coming in, maybe we throw it on the agenda for that.
No DPW? Fire was just.
Fire was here tonight.
No, oh,
They're coming.
oh, yeah, what
back.
am I talking about, yeah. It's police, it's in 2 weeks.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
The first person
Andrew
was
knows
fire.
that.
Yeah, thank you.
That's so long.
Yeah, it really was, a long time ago.
Amy Barrett did ask me who her liaison is.
Yes, we're meeting, Paul and I are meeting with her, the COA, the Council on Aging, on Friday.
So this is actually a question that I had, because I was asked by somebody about liaisons, and I thought I remembered that we had decided we were gonna continue the same liaisons as last year, but I couldn't 100% remember. Was that what we had decided?
That is, I think what
I thought so. I mean, that's
I
who
don't know,
I'm contacting.
well,
I think we just kind of defaulted to that. We
Exactly,
didn't actually
yes.
discuss it.
thank you, Marty.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I mean, there was no objections to that. I didn't have any problem.
So maybe we'll talk about that next week too.
Yeah.
What do we have on the agenda for next week?
Library, health, and water.
Okay.
Riveting.
Yeah.
Oh, water is next week. Oh, all right.
We did have.
Are you a liaison?
I'm the liaison. We were supposed to meet tomorrow, but then,
To talk
so
to the water
I've got to get it
Yeah,
done.
he's interesting. That was a good meeting. I'm kidding. It was the guy from the water pipe that they want to get through for the 15th year in a row.
Yeah, I don't think that's going through the Abington Water Department.
That was just a joke. My ADD is good.
Or the
Yeah, same.
Abington
Like, I'm thinking of swear jar.
We did have 2 sets of meeting minutes that were sent out to review. Did the February 15th meeting minutes and the March 15th meeting minutes. Are there any comments or discussion on the February 15th meeting minutes?
You're saying February of 2023?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember those.
Did
They're
you
good.
review them?
They're good.
Sent
They're
out?
good.
Marty, you can't.
I was
vote on
not here
this,
for
you were not at
for the
that.
February one.
Everyone else that's here was at that meeting.
Yep.
Any discussion, debate, motions?
Motion to approve the meeting minutes of February, give me the date, Matt,
15th.
15th.
Second.
Motion from Barbara, second from Chris. Any further commentary, discussion? Without any, all those in favor of approving the meeting minutes for February 15th?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No,
Paul is opposed. All those abstaining? Marty abstains. The meeting minutes are approved.
and I would like my no to be recorded
Paul's
as
no
Paul
is-
Haggerty said no.
Paul Haggerty votes no.
Because you don't
On the
technically
February-
need to put the
On the
who
February
voted no
15th,
for yes.
2023 meeting minutes
You do
approval
not agree with
vote.
them? With the minutes?
There was a
It
debate
occurred.
over
It-
format of the,
No, I don't know how we expect me to vote on something that happened 10 months ago. Like, I'm not going back to look at the meeting, it's like, I took a quick look, I don't know, there's so much stuff in there, it's like, it's 10 months ago. You're gonna hear the same thing on the March meetings too, it's like, they're not timely. And we talked about earlier about, how, quorums and that sort of stuff, it's like, we are in violation by not having these meeting minutes done timely.
Do not tell the guy from Alabama.
Roll Tide.
Yeah. Well, if you don't have any meeting minutes, there's nothing for him to look at.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Never happened.
so with that said, we have meeting minutes from March 15th.
Motion to approve meeting minutes
Is there a
from March
motion to
15th.
approve from Marty, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded from Chris, not Paul. Is there any further discussion? Paul, anything to say on the March 15th meeting minutes? Everyone was at that meeting, so everybody gets to vote.
And there were a lot of votes on that meeting. Yeah.
Where we went over all of the articles. So, without anything further, all those in favor of approval of the March 15th, 2023 minutes, say aye.
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 All those opposed?
No,
Paul Haggerty votes no. All those abstaining? There are no abstentions. The minutes are approved. With that, we discussed our next week meeting. We are meeting next Wednesday at 7 o'clock. We have 3 departments coming in. We will continue our series of meetings. Is there anything else anyone wants to bring up? Topics, motions?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn and a second. Any discussion? Without any of those in favor of adjourning,
Nice.
it is approved. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.